Wait a minute, that can't be right. Ubisoft officially shutting down Xdefiant after barely 6 months, promising refunds for the Ultimate Founders Pack and purchases made in the last month. Well, that can't be right. We were told that Xdefiant was the Call of Duty killer, right? It was all over for Call of Duty because Xdefiant was here and it was, you know, doing stuff. And then Mark Rubin came out just a few weeks ago. It was back on October 16th, even just like what, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, something like that. He come out and he says this. He says Xdefiant is not shutting down. Executive producer says, this is Mark Rubin. He says he's got 2 more years. He's got year 2 plan. It's coming out now. This brand new expansion, but nope, it would appear that that's over with. Mark here wrote a lot of things that I don't care about whatsoever, so we're not going to bother with that. If you want to read that, go ahead and track that mess down. I don't need the State of the Union address about Xdefiant. Instead, we're going to go over here and we're going to read what the Xdefiant official account said instead of what Mark wants to blubber about. So, it says, "Hello, Xdefiant fans. I am unfortunately here today to announce that Xdefiant will be shutting down. Starting today, December 3rd, 2024, new downloads and player registrations will no longer be available. We will still release our Season 3 content in the near future, exact date to be announced, and the servers will remain active until June 3rd. All right, think about that for a minute. I wanted to get to this whole write-up first, but okay. You're in there, and now nobody else can join you, okay? So it's going to be an ever-shrinking player base from here. Great. For those who purchase the Ultimate Founders Pack, you will receive a full refund. Players who made any purchases within the last 30 days will also be fully refunded. Those refunds should happen automatically within 8 weeks of today, and you can find more details on our official website, xdefiant.com. But they go on, and they say more. A few years ago, Ubisoft and the San Francisco dev team embarked on a bold adventure to develop a new arcade shooter called Xdefiant. It was from the start an incredible challenge. Not only were we trying to shake up the genre by removing skill-based matchmaking, while bringing back a more old-school arcade shooter experience, but we were also diving into high-risk, high-reward realm of free-to-play. And for that, I want to applaud not only the dev team, but also Ubisoft leadership for taking that chance. As if it had never been attempted before, huh? Free-to-play, in particular, is a long journey. Many free-to-play games take a long time to find their footing and become profitable. It's a long journey that Ubisoft and the teams working on the game were prepared to make until very recently. They were prepared to make it until they weren't ready to make it. How about that? It's usually how it goes, right? You're prepared to make it until you're not, and then you stop, right? Kind of how it goes. But unfortunately, the journey became too much to sensibly continue. The journey being the cost to run this thing became too much to sensibly continue running it, all right? Now, I wonder how much of this has to do with Tencent. You know that they're a majority shareholder in Ubisoft these days, so. And of course, they go on and say, I am, of course, heartbroken to have been writing this post. Yes, this game has been a personal passion for me for years. And yes, I want that to not all, I know that not all challenges lead to victory, but I also want to recognize all of the developers who are being affected by this closure. Each and every one of them is a real person with a real life separate from our own, and they have all put so much of their own passion into making this game. And I hope that they can be proud of what they did achieve. I know that I will always be proud and grateful to have worked with such a great team. A team that really punched above its weight class. Right. The game's shutting down 6 months after its start. Anyway, and for that, and what they achieved rather is truly remarkable. The early response. I'm sorry, this is so stupid, right? This whole what is this? What eulogy? This whole eulogy for this game. It's ridiculous. This is Mark's post, by the way. It's just over here on the Xdefiant account because Apparently, they couldn't be bothered to put a social media manager over here, so to write this up, they just copy and pasted Mark's blubbering post in here. And it is a blubbering post. Listen to this. He's crying all over himself about this. And what they achieved was truly remarkable. The early response from players when Xdefiant launched was amazing. We broke international records for the fastest game to surpass 5 million users, and in the end, we had over 15 million players in our game. That is something to be extremely proud of, especially considering how tough this genre is. So thank you to all the developers who put their passion into making this game that lasted 6 months. If there's one thing I hope we can take away from this experience, it's the importance of open, honest communication between developers and players. Was that before or after you were calling us bigots, racist, homophobes, and all those other fancy words? Was that before or after you were vowing to oust our political beliefs, even though they had nothing to do with us purchasing your games? Was that before or after you started programming your characters to call us bigots, racist, and homophobe, and all those things? I forget. I forget about this open, transparent conversation we were having between developers and players. It seemed pretty one-sided. Anyway, this player-first mentality, along with respectful, non-toxic conversations between developers and players, has been one of the most standout differences that made Xdefiant so special. I bet it was non-toxic. From my very first post about Xdefiant, this was the vision I wanted to champion, and I hope it leaves a positive mark on how the game industry treats its players and communities. That's right, after 6 months, dump them on their ass, give them kind of a refund, and then close the game off so their friends can't join and new players can't. That way, everybody who's locked in or wants to continue playing this thing has to continue dealing with the ever-shrinking player base. That should go on and absolutely infect the rest of the industry. Anyway, to our players, thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the incredible community that has grown around Xdefiant. Your passion, creativity, and dedication have inspired us every step of the way. With the utmost love and respect, Mark Rubin. It's Mark Rubin, yeah. So that was his big old blubbery post. Now, in the process of trying to track down people's reactions to this, I did find an interesting group of people who are not taking this news very well. Here we have the Fanatic Stallion. Please, again, don't reach out to these people and cause them any chaos. This is what they want, so they can go out and complain some more. So please, down in the comments below, please let us know what you think about what we're talking about here. But please do not take this chaos out into the world and give them what they want, okay? We're talking about them here because they've said silly things and acted in a silly way in public. Let's not prod them to go ahead and get what they want and be able to complain about those oh-so-bad people that they were absolutely right about, you know? So here we go. This is the Fanatic Stallion. He says, seeing Xdefiant shut down and people immediately celebrating that we have less competition in the FPS space is everything that's wrong with the industry right now. Okay, and you know, Fanatic Stallion is a freelance caster, Fortnite game, content creator, you know, that kind of fella. And so Frankie replies with, and I want to stress, we do not go out and bother these people. Let them have their little powwow, their pouty powwow about this thing, and we'll laugh about them here in the comments section, having an overreaction to a corporation that can't manage $5, let alone a multi-million-dollar game project. So Frankie says, it's honestly sad. Majority of people that are celebrating probably never touched the game either. On top of that, over 100 employees are going to be losing their jobs as well. What a weird thing to be happy about. Okay, like, we'll just have to back this up. It's not my fault that this game failed, okay? It's not your fault that this game failed. It is Ubisoft's fault. It is not your fault that these people will be losing their jobs. It is Ubisoft's fault that they are losing their jobs, okay? This game only made it 6 months. It had nothing to do with you. Imagine in 6 months, were you just supposed to pick this up from like a Skywriter banner? Like a plane flies by, like, don't forget to check out Xdefiant. You know, was that supposed to be how it worked? No, of course not. This game got 6 months to figure itself out, and it couldn't. And so Ubisoft pulled the plug. Now everybody involved wants to point the finger to other people. Oh, it's these toxic players over here. It's these people that are celebrating the downfall of it that are wrong. No. No, we're celebrating that Ubisoft can't manage to hold... I'm pretty sure they couldn't work their way out of a wet paper bag. These people are absolutely inept at every last process they do. We watched this with the NFT debacle that they had. They put out that game, Chronicles of some stupid name, makes no sense. And they put that out, and within a day, it was hacked. There was a guy that was winning every match and buying all of the NFTs because he had hacked into instant winning every match. So he won all the points and he bought all the NFTs using all the in-game gold that he won. The guy had over 150,000 won matches within, like, I don't know, like 2 days. It's and that's Ubisoft. They were like, we're going to cash in on the NFT craze 5 years late. You know? And that's who you're dealing with. But, oh, yeah, it's our fault. We shouldn't be celebrating that a corporation is learning not to do stupid stuff. We shouldn't be celebrating. We shouldn't be saying, thank God Ubisoft got what was coming to them because they didn't take Xdefiant seriously to begin with. How about that? No, Fanatic Stallion says, I couldn't have said it better myself, Frankie. You got Ryan jumping in here, and he says, I celebrated. I played the game for 2 hours, had no desire to go back. If you play a game for 2 hours and you don't want to play it anymore, it deserves to fail. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, we can't apply this to every game. Everybody's got preferences. That's what Stitch Hassanich here has to say. It says, no, it means you didn't like it. Not everyone needs to die and fail because someone doesn't enjoy it. And that's true. Kirby might not have been for you. The Mario Brother game may not have been for you. You may have been a Sonic guy instead of Mario. And that doesn't mean that Mario needs to be erased forever. But what Ryan is referring to is that the experience of playing that game was so heinous that he didn't even want to give it a second chance. All right? You can't say the same about Mario. You can't say the same about Kirby. You can't say the same about these other games that, again, when it comes to preference, you're allowed to have, but they don't have functional problems. They don't have gameplay issues. They don't have these hiccups in just generally trying to keep an audience. And so we'll go down again, and we have Schnappy here. And so what I want to point out here is that we're dealing with a content creator, if you will, with pronouns. Let's point that out. But I forgot to bring up that I believe, yeah, it's Frankie is an Ubisoft partner, so he's a little worried about his good old partner Ubisoft because they treat their guys really well. You know, they'll fly you out to talk about Star Wars and stuff like that, and they'll put you in a hotel room and free of charge. You don't even have to make a video about it. We're just friends. Yeah, that's what they did to try and butter up these streamers. So, he's a little worried. He's going to miss out on, doing some globe trotting on Ubisoft's dime. But here we go. So we have Schnaffy here, and he says, it's like with Overwatch and Marvel Rivals right now. As a Marvel Rivals partnered creator, I really hope it stops. Why does it have to be a competition? Why can't two games coexist without one needing to kill the other off? Well, the problem is that they're trying to occupy the same space. Marvel Rivals is trying to occupy Overwatch's space. And this is what it is that when these places have to attract a player base, there has to be a reason that you play Marvel Rivals over why you play Overwatch, okay? And so you're going to have competition based on that because Marvel Rivals wants to command the market space that Overwatch enjoys. And Overwatch doesn't want to make room for that because, well, if you look at how things are going for Overwatch right now, they kind of need all the money they can get. But they also have earned that space. They have fought to build the marketplace that they occupy. Arguably, Overwatch set this whole thing off, okay? And so Marvel Rivals is going to be another example of the Xdefiant syndrome. I guarantee you Marvel Rivals will not survive. The biggest issue with Marvel Rivals is it's dependent on a higher... It attracts people into it that are not engaged in the FPS and competition sort of play, right? They're interested in the characters. And this is what Fortnite kind of got off on for a while with all these new skins, all these new characters, blah, 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 all this stuff. Oh, look, Thanos is in the game, Master Chief is in the game, all these different characters. Well, the problem is that people are then attracted to the game that aren't interested in it. They're only there to see their character walk around with a sniper rifle and blast somebody's head off. And that's Unfortunately, the fate of Marvel Rivals. Where Overwatch succeeds is it creates a new world for you to exist in. And this is what Xdefiant suffered from. It tried very hard to be too different. It tried very hard to be too different and the same at the same time. And as you know, you can't do those things. This is why Valorant is able to compete with Overwatch, because it's set off on a different market space while still giving a little bit of, hey, you know, you like those cute characters, you like those tight fitting outfits, well, we got a deal for you. And while at the same time going to the CSGO guys and being like, hey man, we got you covered here, you like that knife stuff, we're all over it. And so it kind of merged those two atmospheres together where Xdefiant was like, oh crap, we gotta do something too. Let's just throw everything we know into it and hope that it melts down into something usable. And it didn't. It melted down into a game that melted down in 6 months. And these people are just not really ready to accept that. You got Luke here, and he says, it's not in great state, but there's been so many releases in worse states, and it to get into a good place. Seems like a massive knee-jerk reaction to me that it's canned within 6 months. And so Fanatic Stallion concedes there's something going on with Ubisoft's upper end. Now, again, we know what's going on, all right? We had the investors, AJ Investments, earlier this year, I think it was back in September, tell Ubisoft that they're going to force the company to go private unless Ubisoft concedes that they have spread themselves too thin and return to normalcy, return to what works as opposed to all these experiments. And wouldn't you know, slowly but surely, all of the lights are going out on the experiments, and Rayman's coming back, and they're re-releasing all of the old Assassin's Creeds as remasters, and you just gotta love what they're gonna do with that, I assure you. But again, this is what they're leaning into, is that they're leaning into what the corporation understands works, and Xdefiant was too big of a leap. You know, we're going to see Assassin's Creed Shadows come out, and I promise you that game is going to be problem-plagued. As we talked about in a previous video, they have half the people making that game are making a video game for the very first time. So this is what's going on at Ubisoft, okay? Now, you have to ask yourself, was Xdefiant any different in this lineup? No, it wasn't. No matter what Mark Rubin tells you, no matter what these guys right here want to tell you, it's not any different. Ubisoft was simply trying to scoop up as much cash as they could, playing catch-up with trends that have expired more than 5 years ago. And that's unfortunately where they're stuck right now. I don't know what's going to happen with this Rayman game. I hope it'll be all right, but I highly doubt it. I know Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be terrible. Hexy sounds even worse, and the re-releases, undoubtedly, the remasters, if you will, those are obviously going to be plagued with problems because they're going to have to put their stupid politics into it. There's no way that they avoid that with all the people they've filled the company with. Mark Alexis Cotier, the guy that's the head of Assassin's Creed development over at Ubisoft, admitted that seniority in AAA gaming is the lowest it has ever been in the AAA sphere, okay? It's never been this low. They don't have anybody. You wonder why? They all got either fired, ran out, or they decided they were disgusted with the state of the industry that they had helped build, so they went indie, or they just straight up left it altogether. That's the effect of Ubisoft, all right? So you wonder why Xdefiant's gone? It's because these guys aren't interested in actually creating the games. They're interested in cashing in on a trend. It's that simple. You just wait. They were talking about making an Assassin's Creed that was based on Fall Guys. Gee, why don't you want to do that? You want to do parkour that's not deadly with Assassin's Creed characters? Well, that sounds fun. Aggressive hugs. A marshmallow paradise. We were told that one of the maps is going to be Pompeii. So while the citizens of Pompeii historically are burning to death in the lava, you, the character, get to just parkour your way away from it. Yeah, how cool. How nice. That's great. I highly doubt there's going to be a World War II level. Something tells me they're not going to do a Tiananmen Square parkour level either. Call me crazy. But anyway, you let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, guys, good luck out there.